Hello, Arjan. In this short screencast, I'm going to give you feedback to your summary from last week. So let's begin. First of all, I want to say this is quite a good summary. Your English is obviously very good. The style is good. There are just a few things I want to mention. So, first sentence, you have included everything. The title, the name of the speaker. I would use a more argumentative verb. And remember, it should be in the first sentence. That's what the rubric says. You have used that and you have actually summarized the main idea, but you do that in the second sentence. So I would say combine those two, right? Find a way to combine them so that you end up with a first sentence which includes all these things: title, name of speaker, claims that a reporting verb, and also the main idea. People should pay attention to implicit biases, right? So you find a way to combine those. You have tried to state the main idea argumentatively, which is a good thing. Claims that we need to do this. So that's the main argument. That's the main claim of the speaker. You've done a good job of trying to summarize it and say it argumentatively. Just put it in one sentence, okay? Because according to the rubric, it should all be in the first sentence. So main idea should be in the very first sentence. Okay. He demonstrates three main characteristics of implicit bias. Good. Now here, you've tried to explain all of them in one sentence. It's possible, but all of them are kind of peculiar. They are separate ideas. And to make it more clear, you need to expand on each one of them. Because it's just not enough to say, I guess it's clear. What you're saying is clear enough. But I would say, if you really want to explain what these three characteristics are, you do want to expand on each one of them, right? Maybe the first one here, when you say operate at the subconscious level, okay, that's enough. You probably do not need to expand very much. But particularly with the second and the third one, they run contrary to our conscious beliefs. And so what? There's a little bit more that you need to say to make it more clear. And we triggered through rapid and automatic means to associations. Again, you need to explain that. He does mention rapid and automatic associations, but you need a bit more to explain how these biases relate to these motivations, associations, right? And so when you expand all of these, all the three characteristics a little bit more, that will obviously make the sentence very big, and you don't want to do that. So the best thing to do here, just split it into three sentences and explain in a bit more detail what each characteristic is. Okay, so that's what I would say. Expand on each characteristic and split the sentence into three. This will make it clearer. Now, I really applaud the effort that you're making to summarize in your own words. That's a good idea. Basically, you've used the terminology of the speaker: automatic associations, subconscious level, rapid associations. That's fine. Implicit bias, obviously, you can use these terms, but the rest really should be in your own words. And you have made an effort to explain it in your own words. The speaker believes, so here you may want to add a cohesive device. so this is basically the second half of the video where he gives recommendations, right? So here the cohesive device, you could use a kind of a nice phrase here. You could say, having discussed the 3 characteristics, Hockett goes on to offer 3 recommendations or something like that. So here a linking phrase would be a good idea to connect the 2 halves of the summary. The first one is the characteristics and the second one is basically the 3 recommendations. The speaker believes that we should pay attention to biases. Again, it's much better to use the plural because he's talking about biases, not just one bias. Because it or they can lead to here. Yeah, I know what you're trying to do. He did say expanded diagnosis, and you're kind of trying to paraphrase, but not quite. So I would just say, like, really forget about his wording. Think about what does it do with that, with these 3 recommendations. It's basically saying we need to do 1, 2, 3, right? He calls them 3 reasons. It doesn't matter what he calls them. In effect, they're recommendations. So I can say, having discussed the 3 characteristics, Hockett goes on to offer 3 recommendations, full stop. First, we need to do this. Second, we need to do that, like that. And here, instead of extended analysis of issues, which sort of paraphrases what he says, but at the same time recalls what he says, right? So it's kind of like an echo of his words, but not very precise. Just rephrase it. Rephrase the whole thing altogether. What is the first recommendation? Basically, he's saying we need to become aware of our own biases. We need to diagnose our own problem, and only then can we go and try and fix the issue. If we know what the problem is, having diagnosed it very clearly, then we can go ahead and fix it. We can say something like that. Also, he claims that if there will be no implicit bias, I'm not sure about this. People can predict. He's not saying that. What he's saying is that we have these biases, whether we like it or not. But we can predict possible situations in which our own biases will be triggered. So I'm going to imagine, today I'm going to, I don't know, to a certain place, and I'll meet these people, and maybe I will experience bias. Am I likely to experience bias with these people? So I have to predict that situation, and if I find through self-analysis that I'm likely to experience bias in that situation, then I should do everything possible to avoid it. Right? That's what he means by predictive and preventive behavior. He's not saying there will be no bias. He's saying that we look inside, we try to analyze our own biases, and try to prevent and avoid situations where these biases can potentially occur. Something like that. You see? You could put it in your own words and make it a little bit more clear. Okay? Additionally, Mr. Hockett says that, okay, good, I would say use a more expressive reporting verb. Because says that is a little bit too simple. Sufficient attention to implicit bias can reduce the criticisms, consequently shame. Sure. I think he was talking about how we need to openly discuss our biases, not be ashamed, but we should honestly talk about them, and that will help reduce bias, right? We need to engage in open discussion without shame, without feeling guilty about our own biases, and only then can we start addressing the issue. I think what you're saying is more or less clear here. Sufficient attention, I would just say open discussion here or something like that. Right? By honestly discussing our own biases, we can, without feeling, without guilt or shame, we can begin to address the issue. Yeah, something like that. So again, just rephrase it a little bit. But it's a good idea. I can see you are trying to use your own phrasing, which is very good. To sum up his speech, the author says that internal changes can lead to external changes. This just repeats his wording, and you really don't need that very much. He suggests that we should reduce the implicit bias to make the right decision and help to improve society and the country. Sure. Okay, no, I will take that. If you can, though, I would recommend just rephrasing this a little bit. I mean, that's the words he uses. So internal work, I think he was talking about. You can say something like, we need to start from the inside, we need to work on our own biases, and only then can we try and produce positive change in society or something like that. But you've done a good job. I mean, you end with a clear concluding sentence, which is his final recommendation, so that's good. Maybe if you can, try to rephrase. Again, the idea is when we're summarizing, we're also trying to avoid plagiarism. We're trying to avoid the words which we can avoid. I mean, obviously the terminology will have to stay. You cannot rephrase words like mental associations or implicit bias. These are key terms. They should stay the way they are. It would be comical if you try to paraphrase those, but the rest really should be paraphrased. That's the idea of this summary, is to use your own words, okay? But overall, very good work, Arujan. This is a clear, structured summary, so you haven't missed out on any of the supporting ideas. Everything is pretty clear. You've used cohesive devices quite a lot, reporting verbs, you've referred to the speaker, I've done all these good things, and your style is quite good. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. Good luck.